Yes. Frank, you can't clap. 1, 2, 3. Yes. Yes. All right. We have for you today a very exciting special guest and program. But before we even get to that, I want you guys to write down a phone number. So if everybody has a pen, write this phone number down.
I got it off the bathroom wall.
Got off the bathroom wall? Okay, so now,
Only if the single ineligible.
everybody has Bonnie. If you need Bonnie's number, it's That's right. Yeah, that's right.
I got it.
Okay. Doesn't take long with our crowd, Frank, before we write down the bathroom number. Okay, write this number down. 301 870 1346. 301-870-1346. Why I'm asking you to write that number down is because Frank is doing a tremendous service for us. You made a commitment and said, I'm trying to improve my listing presentation. That was where I came with the idea of you coming down here. So, do you become a great listing agent overnight?
No, absolutely not.
Take some practice.
Absolutely.
So, what we're going to do right now, and I want you to pay close attention, see if you can pick up some pointers, we'll be able to talk, ask questions, whatever else. We're going to turn it over to Frank and our lovely couple. Let's have a nice hand for them. If they can keep their hands off each other for this session. But we'll just turn it right over to them and start off. So.
All right, great.
Hold on. Move the podium. Hold on. High maintenance.
So am I going to walk in and do the whole house tour and everything? Or?
Yeah, move
great.
along
However you do it.
Center.
You want to move the table to the center? Sure. Let's move. Will that mess you up?
It can move.
All right, let's move table to center.
Is there any other request?
Popcorn?
Frank McNew.
Frank, how you doing?
Hi, nice to
Thanks
see you.
again for having me over. Sure. Looking forward to getting your home sold and getting you guys moved down to Naples. It's kind of exciting for you, isn't it?
We're excited.
All right, great. You mind if I take a quick look at the home first before we get started?
Sure.
Okay, great. I'll be right back. Okay, you guys have a great house here.
You like it?
Yeah, absolutely. It's
Sweet
beautiful.
bathroom, isn't it?
It's beautiful.
Nice bath.
Yeah, very nice master bath.
I
I
think
like
we
the
can get a
disco
lot of money
ball
for
in
that.
there too.
Yeah, about the pole.
It's a nice house.
All right.
So guys, I'll go ahead and get started. We'll get right into it, okay? Whenever I meet with sellers, I always start out with 3 real important questions. The first question I always ask is, do you absolutely want to sell your home?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, great. The second question I always ask is, will you price your home to sell, or do you want it to sit on the market for several months?
We're past that. We need to
Yeah.
sell it.
You do definitely need to sell it. Excellent. And then the third question I always ask is, do you want me to handle the sale for you?
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Sounds
Then
good.
all I need to do is go ahead and sign the contract, and then we'll get started.
That's fine.
Great.
Let's go. Get the sign in the yard.
Great.
All right, great job.
Nailed it. Awesome.
Really appreciate it.
Way to go. That's the way to do it.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Frank.
Now you're getting into the best part. Take 2. Here we go.
All right. So you have a lovely home, and thanks again for having me over.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Guys, I'll go ahead and get started. Whenever I meet with sellers, very simplicity, I always start out with 3 real
Hit
important
record.
questions.
Is the pause on?
Guys, thanks again for having me over. You know, whenever I meet with sellers, I always start out with 3 very important questions. The first question I always ask, Christy, is, do you absolutely want to sell your home?
Yes, we do.
Yes,
Yeah.
perfect. The second question I always ask is, will you price the home to sell, or do you want it to sit on the market for several months?
We can't have it sit any
Yeah,
longer.
it's been sitting already, so we need to get it sold.
Yeah, so you definitely need to get it sold. Perfect. And then the third question I always ask is, do you want me to handle the sale for you?
Well, we'll decide that after you give your
Yeah.
presentation.
We're going to
Okay.
take a little bit of time to think about it, but
Sure.
we're not going to take too long.
Fair enough, fair enough.
Sure.
Well, guys, at the end of my presentation tonight, one of 3 things will happen. Number 1, you'll have the opportunity to list your home with me. Or number 2, you may decide not to list the home with me. Or number 3, I may decide not to take the listing. And any one of those is fine. Okay, fair enough?
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
Great. Now, Chrissy, I only had an opportunity to talk with you on the phone so far. I just want to recap what we talked about to make sure all three of us are on the same page.
Okay.
Okay? Now, the first question I asked is where are you moving to? And she said you guys are moving down to Naples, Florida.
That's
Is
right.
that right?
That's right.
And it sounds like you got a job transfer.
New
Is that
job
correct?
transfer, yeah.
Good for you.
Mhm.
Now, is this a promotion for you or more of a lateral?
It's a promotion.
It's a promotion.
Very happy with it.
I can see that.
Yeah.
And how do you guys feel about Naples? Are you excited to get
Very
there?
excited.
Yeah, I've heard it's beautiful. Great. Now, you would like to list your home for $499,000. Is that right?
Right.
Great.
The more we can get, the better.
The more you can get, the better. Perfect. And then the mortgage balance is approximately $200,000,
Right.
and there's no other lines of credit or second mortgages or anything like that.
Anything you're not telling me?
No, I think we're good.
Perfect. Now, obviously, you were on the market before, hoping to get the house sold, and it didn't sell.
Nightmare.
It sounds like, from what Christy had said, you're going to start your new job at the end of March.
Yeah,
So that's really in the next 60 days.
right.
We don't really have a lot of time, do we?
Not a lot.
Okay, so we need to just get it sold quickly. Now, you weren't planning on selling it yourself, were you?
No.
No,
No.
no. We tried that before, and it's not something we want to go down the road.
Right.
We don't have time for.
Okay, great. You're tired of playing games, you just want to get the job
Exactly
done.
right.
Excellent. Now, you also want to cash out on the property. You wouldn't consider holding a note for the buyers?
No.
No. All right, wonderful. Well, guys, there's really two issues involved in selling real estate in today's market. The first one is your motivation to sell the home. And the second one is the price that we set on your home. And it's important you understand that really those are the two issues involved in selling real estate. Does that make sense?
Sure.
Okay, great. I have prepared a comparative market analysis, and there's two parts to the research. The first part is what we call fantasy land, and that's what homeowners list homes for. Part two, we call reality, and that's what real estate agents are listing and selling homes for. Your job as a seller is to decide where you want to spend your time, okay?
Okay.
So let's go through the two parts together. Now, really, the purpose of the comparative market analysis is to determine the value of your home in the eyes of a buyer. Do you know how a buyer determines value?
Yeah. Compares features and benefits of other houses.
Exactly, Christy, exactly. So they're going to check out your home based on its upgrades, features, and benefits, and then look at the other homes that are available for sale and that have sold recently that are similar to yours.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Right. And we're the only house in the neighborhood with a pool and a hot tub.
I can
Right.
see that.
6-person hot tub.
Very nice. Very nice.
Ceramic. So,
And just to kind of illustrate the point a little bit better, let me just kind of give you an example. Let's say you were going to buy a new car at the dealership. You got down to Naples, you need a new car. And you go into a dealership, you see one car you really like for $40,000. Then you go over to another dealership, you see the exact same car for $40,000, but this one has a navigation system and the heated seats. Now between the two, I mean, which one's more valuable?
The one with the navigation and the heated seats.
Yeah, and why would you say it's more valuable?
more
More
for
for
your
the
money.
money.
More for the money, exactly. Now, let's say the dealership with the car without the nav system or the heated seats put their car on sale for $32,000. Then which one would be more valuable?
That one.
The one that's on sale, correct?
Right.
Right.
And why is that?
We can put navigation
Put it in
and
there for
heated
cheaper.
seats. Yeah.
Exactly. So you can see, if you want to increase the value of your home, you simply have to lower the price or have more features and benefits for the same price. And so you guys aren't planning to add more features and benefits to your home, right?
I don't know what else we can do.
I don't either.
Yeah. So you just want, then price is the only issue. So let me just go right into that, okay? Now, here's the market analysis. And you can see, here are 3 homes that are actively available for sale. This first home here, how many bedrooms do you see?
4.
4 bedrooms. And how many bathrooms?
4.
4. And then the square footage on this home is
2,800.
2,800 square feet. Now, you actually have 4.5 bathrooms, you had mentioned, and we saw, and you actually have 3,000 square feet.
Right.
And this one only has the 3-car garage. So this one does not have the pool and the hot tub like you obviously have here. So obviously, your home is a little better than this one.
Right.
Now, look at what price are they listed for?
460.
460,000. And look at the days on market. How long have they been on the market?
60.
For 60 days. Now, you really need to be in Naples in the next 60 days. Is that right?
Right.
You know, the one question I didn't ask on the phone, Christy, was what would happen if you went with another agent and your home didn't sell in the next 60 days?
We'd be where we are now.
Yeah. Ferris would
I'd
be
be-
there and I'd still be here.
Yeah.
So you actually will go to your job, and then
He
you're
has
gonna
to
have to stay
start.
here.
Mhm.
And you guys really seem like a close couple. That doesn't seem like the ideal couple.
You're gonna wanna be away from it.
No.
I can see why. Okay, great. Now, let's look at the second home. The second home, how many bedrooms are here?
Four.
4 bedrooms. And how many bathrooms?
4.5.
4.5. And look at the square footage. What's the, how much?
3,400. It's a little bigger than ours.
So it's a touch bigger than yours, exactly. Now, the upgrades on this home, they actually do have an all-brick home. It has been renovated inside, and they've got a sunroom. So, you know, you can obviously see this home is a little bit better than yours. Would you agree with that?
Is it fair to say that maybe the sunroom and the brick is a trade for the pool and the hot tub?
That's a great question, Ferris. It's really going to boil down to how the buyers feel about it. Because some buyers are going to really love a pool. Some really don't want a pool, maybe for safety reasons for their kids, and they just love to have a sunroom.
Okay.
Okay, fair enough?
Yeah.
Now, look at the price that they're asking for on this property.
$495.
$495. And look at the days on market. 30 days. Okay. Now we have the last home that's available for sale. How many bedrooms do you see on this one?
4.
Yeah, and it's the same number of bathrooms, 4.5 bathrooms, and the exact same square footage, the 3,000 square feet. Now this one just has the 3-car garage. It doesn't have the pool and the hot tub. But this one is probably the most similar home to yours, without those 2 options in it. And look at the price that they're asking. 480,000. Now look at the days on market.
90 days.
90 days. Now it's been 3 months. Now, if you're a buyer and you see a home on the market for 90 days, what do you think the buyers might start to say about this home?
What's wrong with it?
Yeah.
Yeah, and 90 days doesn't work for you
No.
down in Naples, does it?
Absolutely not.
No. So guys, based on what you see here, the homes that are available for sale and what their prices are, what price do you think we need to be at in order to create value for your home and get your home to sell over the competition?
I'd still like to get as much as I can for it. You know, I think that with all the amenities that we have, with the granite in the kitchen and the ceramic tile, the pool and the hot tub,
That master bath that we've
Yeah.
really done a lot in.
you know, we don't have children, so the house is in immaculate condition.
Sure.
We really wanted $499.
I know. Well, guys, based on the numbers that I see here, I'm going to recommend a price of $475. Would you consider listing your home with me for that price today?
That's a big difference.
That is a big difference.
It's something we have to talk about.
I understand.
That's going to affect what we're
Well,
going to buy down in Naples.
Ryan, if we list at $475, will you cut your commission?
Well, let me talk about the price a little bit more. Is that okay? But that's a very good question.
Okay.
Now, I know you want to list it for $499, and believe me, I would love to be able to sell it for $499 because I don't only want to just sell this home, I want to do a great job so that you tell your neighbors about me. That's how I continue growing my business. Guys, if I thought I could get you $499, I'd tell you. But you're hiring me to do my job, and my job is to be honest with you. Would you say that's a fair
Sure.
statement?
Right.
Right.
Okay. Now, with this one being 480, 4 bedrooms, basically like our house, but we also have the pool, the hot tub, and some of those other things.
Mhm.
Would that still put us at 475, or would it be 480, and maybe we could be the car with the navigation and the heated seats?
That's a great point, Christy. The issue that I see is that your job starts in the next 60 days. So you really would like to be in Naples in the next 60 days. These are homes that are all available for sale. They really haven't sold yet. Although they're listed at that price, we don't know if they're actually going to sell at that price. Based on what we know about the market, I mean, you need to get your home sold in the next 30 days, and then 30 days for it to close.
Well, you know, at that price, we haven't even talked about commission. What are you going to charge?
Our commission is 6%.
6%.
Mhm.
I mean,
Well-
that's something we'd like to talk about. And
Well, let me ask you this, Ferris. What price do you absolutely have to have?
$499.
Wow. Mm,
Well,
and that's-
we'd like to get 499,
Yeah.
but we won't go below 470
Right.
is our bottom line.
Exactly.
okay, so you couldn't go below 470.
No.
And then I'm suggesting 475.
Right. Doesn't give us a whole lot of room to work with, and you know, if you can do 4% on your commission, that would probably make it a little bit easier for us.
Well, guys, this is how I like to work with sellers. I'd rather you price your home right to have a bidding war on your home than not get any offers at all. You need the power to negotiate. you've already been on the market without the right results, right?
Right,
And you do want to get your home sold, right?
Sure.
right.
So can you see why $475 is the right price?
So at $475, you think we could probably still get more than?
I think you can get your home sold, the demand will be here, and I'd rather you leave less room for negotiating to get the right bottom line.
Sure. Are we coming into a strong part of the market where we're gonna see some of these prices maybe hold?
Actually, the winter's been pretty mild so far. We've had pretty strong activity. I think you have a window of opportunity now because our competition's a little less than where it's gonna be at in the spring. A lot more homes will start coming on the market.
Right.
So your competition's gonna grow. It could hurt your price.
Okay.
Okay. And also, if we list at $475, what do you do to get home sold? Because we felt like our agent was why our house didn't sell last time.
Okay, that's a great question. Now, basically, when you hire me today to sell your home, I'm gonna offer you an active marketing program as opposed to a passive. Can I tell you what the difference is?
Please.
Christy, I spend all of my time actively looking for buyers for my listings and working with the other active agents in town. And that's what you want, right?
Right, yeah. We want to get it shown and get it sold.
Exactly. And you can see based on my track record that obviously the results are there.
Are you familiar with the area? You've been in the area selling for a while?
Absolutely, I sell around here all the time.
Okay.
Based on what we've talked about so far, Ferris, do you feel I can sell your home?
I think so. I mean, you're upfront and honest with us. I know it's a sting more to our ego than anything else, I would think. I mean, we'd love to be in that $500,000 range.
Right.
I can see where the other homes aren't selling. So that's kind of what we needed. The other agent.
Now, you did have that guy you worked with, his wife.
Yeah, one of my good partners that I work with has a wife that's in business.
Sure.
And
We were thinking about talking to her
yeah,
too.
we need to talk to her as well.
Okay.
I think that I want to see where she comes in. I want to see what her feedback is.
Sure.
Yeah, I think you can do a good job for us, but I also owe it to him. I don't want to create any enemies.
Oh, I can totally appreciate that. And let me ask you, Ferris, are you looking to do your friend a favor, or are you just trying to get your home sold?
Get it sold.
Yeah.
I mean, when we're in agents, he's not doing me any favors.
Right.
Exactly. And you do want the best agent for the job, right?
Sure.
Yeah. Can you see now, based that we're talking, can you see that my experience is exactly what you're looking for?
Yeah, I mean, if we can get it sold and get over the fact that it's $475, I'd still like to be able to talk to you about the commission side of it.
Okay.
I'd like to be able to put it on and do it at 4%.
Well, let's talk about that.
Okay.
Let me ask you, if we can come to an agreement on the commission, and you're okay on that, then there's nothing else stopping you from listing the home with me right now, right?
No, I don't think
I
so.
don't think so.
Okay, great. So let's talk about the commission. You know, right now you've heard the market's pretty good, right?
Right.
You know, and it's funny, over the last year, homes are selling around 96% of their asking price, which is pretty good, right?
Sure.
Here's the best part. Last year, out of 62 homes I sold, my homes are selling at 99.3% of their asking price. So you actually end up netting more. It does cost more to hire me, but you end up netting more. And that's really what's the most important thing, isn't it?
Definitely.
Right, the net to us.
Ferris, Christy, let's go ahead and do the right thing. Sign the contract. Let me get you in the computer system today. I'll have you up and running for the weekend. Just need you to go ahead and sign the contract right there.
I want to get it sold.
I was
I
wondering,
can't
maybe
stand
we
to
should
be a
think
day
about
away
it.
from it.
I didn't know if we should think about it or if we are ready to go ahead and make the commitment now.
I can appreciate that. So Ferris, you're on board, and Christy, it sounds like, you just feel like you want to think about it a little bit. Maybe there's some questions you haven't thought of. Is that what I'm hearing?
It just seems like, I definitely want to get it sold. I just thought maybe we should talk a little bit more before we make a final
Sure,
decision.
I completely understand. In fact, this is a big decision, isn't it?
Yeah,
And yet, the decision has to be based on what you want, right?
right.
Let's do this. Let's just talk about it a little bit more. Tell me, what is it that you got to think about?
Well, I was just thinking that we could kind of play with the numbers maybe, make sure that we're netting. It just seems so fast. I think you do a great job. I just feel like maybe we should think about it.
Well, yeah, what I'm talking about is basically about a $25,000 drop in the price. That's a
Right.
lot of money.
Right.
And let me ask you, if you can't get any bit more for the money. What are you gonna do? You can't,
We might not, yeah, because we're on a deadline.
yeah, then you really do have to
We
sell.
have to sell.
So
We
you don't
can't
really
do
have
anything in
options.
Naples until we,
No, until we
So-
sell the house.
Right.
so it's a big hit. Yes, I've got apprehension about it, but I think the time that we spend doing this, we can spend in Naples.
Right.
Do you agree with what Ferris is saying? I mean, I think he's making sense.
Yeah.
I mean, we won't be able to buy you Bentley, but.
Next year?
Next year.
Okay.
Chrissy, let's go ahead and get started.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. We're excited.
Great, so am I.
Thank you.
All right. It all ends nicely for the happy couple.
Once again.
That took how long?
20 minutes maybe?
20 minutes at the most. How long was your last listing presentation? Hour and 45 minutes?
About 45.
45, some of an hour and 45. Anybody here ever been on one longer than 2 hours other than me? Yeah. So, what do you guys think? I mean, you've done this obviously before with Frank, but what do you think?
It was good. It was good. And a few of the things we had talked about before today, what objections everybody seems to be having the most problems with, and it's, we need to think about it, and will you cut your commission? So I think it was good. He came back good with everything. And I think it's good too, the way if I were the one asking the question, he would make sure he was making me feel like I was the one that needed it answered. If it was Ferris, he would go to Ferris, and I think that was really good. The nodding, I was nodding too.
So he did a good job of involving both
Both
of the
parties.
clients. Did you guys recognize that? Yeah. I mean, especially at the end, he said Christy, Ferris, call them by name. Well, that's one key. If you know their names, that can be a nice part of the presentation. Okay?
I find it very difficult to argue with him. And I don't know if that's Frank's demeanor. I don't know if it's Mike Ferry, just hitting the right points, combination of both. But you can't, it's very difficult to argue. It's very difficult to put up a stance. I mean, the only thing that we probably could have pushed on is, all right, we'll get back to you. But even still, he's hitting the point of, do you want to sit here and waste time and money, or do you want to be in Naples?
Right. And he kept checking our motivation over and over, which was good.
Which that is a big part of why you couldn't argue, because in your head is get to Naples, get to Naples, get to Naples. And who caused that kind of thinking? Frank did. Anybody else recognize that? That it's sort of hard to, he just made sense.
He used one of them to answer the other one's questions.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Ferris,
So,
you're on
do you
board.
agree with that?
Yeah.
Ferris and I are on board. You hear what he's saying. It makes a lot of sense to me. Doesn't it make sense to you?
We work with his.
Right.
Teamed up. Yes, Adrian.
I think a big part of it was Frank exudes confidence.
Right.
He was extremely confident
Calm
throughout the
and
entire thing.
confident.
I don't know if anyone knows, but he was sitting on the edge of the chair, just handling it very well.
And I think another good thing too was Frank did such a good job of pre-qualifying us that he could use all those tools to help us sign the contract.
And what that means is he knew a lot of information about you before he got there.
Right.
Where some of us go in, we don't know anything. We're so happy to hear that we have a listing appointment. We just run right over. We don't know anything about moving. They just said, come over. It
That's
could be for
really-
dinner, it could be for anything.
That's really what's made all the difference in my listing ratio going up, is just really making sure that I go through a full pre-qual script before I meet with the folks. And sometimes if they just say, oh, we're looking for a bigger house, that's not good enough. That's not going to give you the ammunition you need. So you got to probe a little bit bigger. Like, well, what is the new bigger house going to do for you? Why is that important to you? And then they start talking about, well, the kids are getting bigger, or my wife's yelling at me all the time because we got too much stuff, whatever. And then you can bring that up, at the present.
And an example of how he probes deeper in the questioning was when they were going over the pre-qualification questions. He said, so you're moving to Naples. What takes you down there? He said, it's a job situation. He asked what?
Promotion.
Is that a promotion? Oh, great. He found out a little about that. And Chris was all proud of that. So that's just building the motivation.
And one thing too, Frank called me yesterday and actually pre-qualified me and literally used the script. I mean, we went right down it, and he brought it today for his notes, but that's what he actually specifically pre-qualified me yesterday.
Well, and I think it's important and Frank, you probably prepared differently for the situation. I don't know if everybody knows this was an expired.
Yeah.
Kristen and I were trying to sell our house. So
Right.
Is your approach more of an urgency as opposed to, well, we're thinking about moving, give us an idea of what the house is worth?
It depends on the clients. You know, I go on past client appointments where they're not ready to list right now,
Right.
but they want to get an idea of what their home is worth. And then after pre-qualifying, you know, I'll know whether I really want to go or not. If they really are just looking for a value, then I can kind of, I sold them the house, so I can do a range of value and give it to them over the phone.
Right.
If they definitely want to move, but they need to know where they stand before they can start looking, then I'll go and talk to them on why it makes sense to sell now as opposed, you know,
To
while
wait
you're
till
still
it's
looking,
Right.
as opposed to waiting.
Because I felt like this was more, here's the business side of it, you need to get going, here's what's going to take, as opposed to, hey, let's sit and visit for a while.
Yeah.
And that's why it was 20 minutes as opposed to 45 minutes.
And plus, he knew we weren't expired and we needed to be in Naples in 60 days. So he knew the urgency was there too.
Brings up another interesting point, and I'll get to your question, Bill, in just a second. You said rather than sitting there and chin wagging and all that, why do we do that? Why do we sit there and just want to talk and talk and talk and talk?
To
We
try
want
to
them to
be
like
their
us.
friend, so they'll- yeah.
Because we're going to try to get the listing on the rapport side rather than the skill side, because we don't know what to say. We really don't know what to present, so all we're going to do is try to just present ourselves. And that works sometimes. I mean, you can get them on bonding. We've all done that. You know, this is more of a business approach. You know, and I think that, would you say that after this thing, you've certainly respected this agent?
Oh, yeah.
Did you respect it? Did he
Definitely.
tell them what they wanted to hear?
Not always.
No. What do most agents do?
Tell you which one to hear.
What did their last agent do?
Don't really want to hear.
Told them what they wanted to hear. How were the results with that?
They were not.
In your experience, for those of you who are more experienced, if you tell them exactly what they want to hear, how good does it usually work out?
Not good.
Not good. What's one of the worst things that can happen to you as a listing agent?
Take an overpriced listing.
Take overpriced listings. Okay, so he's avoiding that right here.
Well, you know, Dean, you remember last year, the simple question was, will you cut your commission? And Frank's response was no, and I felt like I was a deer in the headlights. I couldn't.
threatening to go through these questions, and you've got the confidence it's going to have as a newer agent at a listing. I'm just not going to have that. Stumbling over my words at some point, I know at some point it's going to have to be, I'm going to start annoying them. But I want to keep them and bring it back. So I'm wondering for me, how am I going to do that when I know it's time to cut out now and regroup?
Well, first off, I would say get a different mindset. I mean, you can't go into it thinking like that. You got to know that you can definitely help them out, and you're going to help solve their problem. Your whole purpose of being there is to help them accomplish what they need to accomplish. So that's the first thing. But you know, secondly, just try and get little agreements from them. Just say, guys, and just isolate it. You know, if it's priced, then that's great. But try and isolate it down. If it's the agent, you know, you just seem too cocky to me. You know, I don't like you. Then that's cool. If I wasn't so cocky, is there anything else bothering you? You know? And then you know it's just the one issue. You know, it just depends. You need to narrow it down, and then you try and get little agreements from them, and then just see if they consider, you know, would they consider listing the home after they think about it? And they usually say, well, yeah, if we think about it, yeah, we feel comfortable listing with you. Great, let's do this. Let's sign the contract. I'll give you the whole weekend to think about it. And when you call me Monday and say yes, then I'll have it all filled out. We'll get it going. You know, there's, you know.
I tell you what's also interesting, and I don't know if y'all picked up on it, but the first three questions were, you said there's three things that you do. You're going to list it tonight. You're going to think about it,
No, you'll have the opportunity to list the home with me,
right?
or you might decide not to list the home with me,
And then your third.
or I might decide not to take the listing.
Immediately, all right, immediately my thought was, damn, who am I messing with? You know, because I wanted to say, at what point are you not going to list with us? But it put in the back of my mind that this is a business, and he's as serious about us as we are about him. And I just wanted to ask, but it's one of those things that's rumbling around in
People
the
do
back
ask
of
me
your
that.
mind.
They're like, "What do you mean you don't want to take?"
So what do you tell them? Let's roll. Can we role play that?
Yeah.
Okay, so give them that.
so
Go through the
third
questions right
thing-
now.
yeah, so basically, one of three things will happen when we finish today, Ferris. One is you'll have the opportunity to list your home with me. Number two is you may decide not to list home with me. Or number three, I may decide not to take the listing. And any one of those is fine.
How do you decide not to work with me? I'm the one that's going to employ you.
Well, and I appreciate that, Ferris. But at the same time, you know, if you are unrealistic on what it's going to take to sell the home, or you're asking me to do things that I know won't help your home to sell, then I just say thanks, but no thanks. I can refer you to another agent. But I'm here to do the job. If I don't feel like I can do the job, then it's just best if we don't work together. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Isn't that a different mindset than we usually go into taking a listing? I mean, basically, we're bowing down to the seller on our knees. We'll do anything. Well, you put it on cable TV, oh, of course. Well, you know, let the dog out before you show the house. Sure, if he poops in the house, will you clean it up? Whatever. Anything. And this sets a little bit different. This means that this is a professional, okay? I mean, if this is a professional, he's not going to just, you know, do something that's not going to be in the best interest of both parties. And I think is that a hard question to ask at first?
Is it a hard question to ask from the sellers, or
For you to.
As an agent, when you first started using your basic script, was that a hard question to ask?
well, it was hard to come across with the confidence to present it in a way where I'm really not attached to the results, because you obviously want the listing and you want it, you know, you need it, whatever, but you can't let it show at all.
Well, and you know what's important? I've been in quite a few sales jobs where we've ended a relationship, or I've been prompted by the company I'm working for to end a relationship, and by that point in time, it's always nasty. So to end it early, you know, it may be that I'm just an egomaniac and I can't deal with Frank, and hell no, it's going to be $500,000 or nothing. But that doesn't mean that I may walk away with some respect thinking, well, you know, this guy's a pretty good guy. He may work for somebody else, as opposed to our relationship falling apart in 60 days, and I'm telling you to come get the sign,
Right.
and I'm bringing in somebody else, and this, that, and the other.
And then you'll badmouth
Well,
him.
Because you took it just to hack it, you
Right,
know.
right. And that's just it. I mean, if you go on an appointment and they want to list it 30,000 higher than where it's supposed to be, it's going to expire at some point anyway.
Right.
You know, so you have
a great
shot
point.
at getting it.
Debbie?
Okay, I've been in the business 10 years.
All right, great.
Never not gotten a listing that I went on until the last 2 months.
Okay.
Same situation, both relocations. Relocation companies require that the client meet with 2 agents, and you cannot sign them that night or they lose their benefits. When I call back within my time, they told me that their decision was really hard, and both agents were equal because they're going through relo, and of course relo only picks top agents and experienced agents. And the reason they chose the other agent is because their office was 1 block away and mine was 15 miles away.
Okay. Did you walk out of the house without knowing that?
No.
So you
Well,
knew that?
yes, because I don't know the other agent.
Okay, but I mean,
I don't
were
know
you
whether
first
the
or
other
second
agent,
on the interviews? Were you the first agent or the second agent?
one each.
Were you the first one that met with them and they met with the other agent after you?
Happened
or-
twice.
One of each.
What order?
Happened twice.
In what order?
Yeah, the first one that I didn't get, I was the first agent.
Oh, you said one each. I see now. No,
Yeah.
you're second agent. Well, you know, it's a matter of asking questions. It's a matter of finding out what's in their head and what they're really looking for in an agent. If you pre-qualify right, if you know what's important to them and their hot buttons, then that's exactly what you're going to demonstrate on the listing appointment. Because every seller is different. You know, if you meet with an elderly couple, then they want someone that's just going to, you know, really be there for them and just, you know, make sure that they're represented and just protected. You know, if you meet with somebody that's a top executive or something like that, then, you know, they just want the facts. They want someone that's confident and that's just going to be aggressive. You know, so you can't come in and just blow them over if it's an 89-year-old lady.
Well, I think something else, Debbie, is what is your percentage? How many of the listings that you go on, how many do you get?
Usually about 75%.
75%. So I think what's happened in your career is you have probably done a lot of center of influence stuff where most of the listings you've taken have been people that you know, and if you get into a competitive situation, it's hard to understand that maybe you don't get them all. Because I mean, here's one of the top listing agents in the country, and he loses every 4 times he goes, he loses once. And it's been worse than that in the past, hasn't it?
Yeah,
I mean, that's 75% is huge.
Well, I guess what I was looking for is what objections would you use in a situation of everybody's equal except office location? How do you compensate for that?
Well, then I would.
Especially when you service the whole Richmond area. Who cares if I'm 15 miles away?
I would say, well, fortunately, with the technology that we have today, most people can get all your information right off of the internet and our computer systems. Not only the details, but full pictures of the insides and the outsides. Now, would you agree that it's more important to pick an agent that's strong, that can represent you well, or one that might be just around the corner? I mean,
It's hard to know to do that unless you know what I think the point is.
Know what
Yeah,
you're up
because I
against.
mean, in one of the reload companies, we couldn't even talk price when we went on a listing presentation. To talk price you would be disqualified to get the listing.
Yeah, it's tough.
I go on a lot of those too, and I talk price every time.
Debbie, you know, Rodney and I went on one the other day, and we walked out knowing that they were going to interview somebody else. And I mean, I was this far from asking who it was, and I just didn't do it. And he and I both got in the car, and we looked at each other and said, why didn't we ask who it was? We kind of had an idea of who it was, but it's the same scenario of those are the types of questions you just got to ask. And it would have been very simple.
And it turned out, if that's the one Rodney was talking about, it turned out that they went with the other person.
They went with the other person. Because in that situation, we may have been able to react and say, okay, well, let me tell you my track record. Who cares about the other agent? You know, who cares about the other office? You know, just like Frank said, everybody's got access to technology. You know, you can see it whether you're sitting in South Dakota or Richmond. So, you know, it's one of those things where you just got to have the confidence to ask and not be afraid to ask.
And
Well,
then
you
use
don't
the
want
things,
to
use your
jeopardize the
strengths.
company.
One of the other ways to handle that is, you know, an agent that's 1 block away. Fortunately, when you go ahead and list your home with me, I can expose your home to buyers from all over the area, not just the ones that are right here close by your house.
They're going to see the sign anyway.
Yeah, exactly. And with our company, we dominate the market share. Chances are I could probably sell to one of the agents here in the office.
Well, and more than likely, the other agent can do everything that he's saying he can do. But more than likely, the other agent isn't talking about it.
Right. And more than likely, they don't know who you are. They haven't taken the time to ask the same questions. So they're not, and again, we don't want to badmouth any other agents. Don't think that's wrong at all. But you want to accentuate what you can do. And you may be, you know, maybe you go on one in Chesterfield and their office is right there and your office is here. Well, there may be some concerns with that, but you just have to come up with an argument and some points that may help them understand that that's not a big deal. So I guess the moral of that story is the more we pre-qualify, the more we ask the tough questions. You know, Barry, what's the one that we hate to ask as buyer's agents? What's the one we always hate to ask? Are you working with another agent?
Right.
So we show them a house for 6 weeks and then they buy from Barry because he's got them locked in. So great question. Sunshine.
I want to ask, on the 1 minute presentation, the first one, I'm showing the pre-qualification where you want to get to for your house is $499.
Right.
And then you go and you're like, do you want me to sell the house for you? And they say yes, and you say sign right here. Do you already have that $475 on there?
We would have everything on the contract signed. I usually don't have the price on there
Okay,
or the
that's
date to
fine.
start, depending on, you know, the thing.
They
So
just
I would
sign it
I would
and
just
then
say,
you add it in.
you know what, you're really in tune with what's going on in the market. That's a great price. I'm just going to go ahead and put it on here. Let's get started.
There's a great story. I can't remember who it was. Some of you Powerhouse graduates may remember. Somebody did that, and they were just sure that it wasn't going to work, but we told him to try it, so he was trying it. So they said, and you want me to handle the sale for you? They said, yeah. And he started to do something. You remember that, George? Who was that that said that? They started to go on. He goes, wait a minute. You want me to handle the sale for you? And he shut up because, and again, as soon as you get them to say yes, what do you want to do? Close it, get them to sign it. Why?
They don't change their mind.
You can convince them to change their mind. Once they really find out who you are, they may decide to do it.
You can blow it.
I mean, that's a, you know, you got to be careful.
That's exactly.
Who else had a question?
Suppose you don't have a track record, how do you sell your marketing plan? I know you mentioned
Well,
just
the
a
fact
little
that you're
bit.
right
kind
here
of-
with Hometown Realty, you can use your company stats. You know, our company sold 50 homes last month.
You can look on if you come to the sales meeting, you can look at the sheet and see, I mean, how many homes, there was a whole legal page of homes that we
listings,
sold
and
and new listings that we took last week. I mean, that had to have been, how many? 40, 50, huh?
At
60,
least,
something
yeah.
like that. Okay. Yes.
In the case of where you know up front that you're competing with more and more real estate companies for that listing, could you ask that potential client the courtesy of allowing you to do a follow-up before they sign with anybody else?
Well, it depends. In the pre-qual script, I'll find that out, and then I'll find out have they already set the other appointments or not, and then I'll know whether I can set myself up to be last, or if not, sometimes I'm the first one. Then I'm going to be prepared when I go in for the first one by asking probing questions and just try and get an agreement to have them sign right then.
Which do you like the best? If all things being equal, do you like going in first or last?
It depends on the situation and their motivation. If it's an expired and they're very motivated, like they have a specific time frame, I want to be the first one. If it's somebody that doesn't have, that short time window and they've got a lot more time to sell, I'd rather be last. But if they have the motivation and they're serious, they have to sell, I can get in there first, it'll make sense, and just have them go ahead and sign, and I'll call the agents and cancel the appointments for them.
Excellent. Adrian.
Dean, is analytical. I love Frank's objection handler about the commission. How homes in the area have sold for 96%, and your listings have sold for 99 point whatever percent. Will you go over that one more time so I can get that line? Yeah.
Sure. So it's basically, he's asked me to cut the commission, and then I left it running, and so then I just say, so let's cover that. Now, you've heard that it's a pretty good market, right?
Right, I've heard that.
Yeah, in fact, homes are selling about 96% of their asking price. Sounds pretty good, doesn't it? Yeah. You know what the great news is? Is that last year, out of the 62 homes I sold, my homes are selling